of what to use in a microphone mobile kit. One thing I really love to do that you can try is set out all your microphones, whatever they are. And I'm not a big believer in there's good microphones and bad microphones. There's just microphones and they have color. They either do what you want them to do or they don't. And then you pick and choose as you go. So knowing how these microphones sound, I place the microphones out like this in front of the scenario I'm about to record. In this case, it might be drums, bass, and guitar. I also travel with 4 different Zooms. So that's my 24 track recorder, and then I sync it up later in a DAW. I don't typically use all of those tracks because 24 tracks is a lot. I try to keep it under 16, which this is basically right around 16. So if I have drums, bass, guitar, and a vocal, I'm immediately gonna start thinking about, well, what needs to be the best sounding or the most present in the sonic picture. And for me, that's drums and vocals always. So with drums, I know I can always get away with just 2 mics. Overhead, which I typically will use my AEA, which is placed pretty much right over the snare, pointed at the snare, and then a kick drum mic. So 1 or 2 of these particular mics. I either want a thinner kick drum sound or I want a beefier kick drum sound. More often than not, I'll probably use both, one on the beater side and one on the front side. So what I'll do is I'll take these 2 microphones and I'll take them out of the equation. They're being used. And then I can start to systematically think about what I have left and how I want to use it. 9 times out of 10, and this might be breaking some kind of condenser mic rule with Neumann and all the upper end great mics, but I personally love a dynamic feel and sound on a vocal recording. Vocalists typically can hold it and they can get into it, and I find from performing live all these years with vocalists, they don't stand away from the mic with a particular distance and feel comfortable. They feel comfortable with a microphone in their hand, even something as beefy as this. So I'll typically leave this out for vocals because I know it's crispier and brighter and grillier sounding and more personal and intimate for a vocal recording than a Shure sound. Shure has a little bit of a dull edge on the top and it's a little bit more warmer than this. Whether it's a female or a male, then I'll make different decisions. In this case, she's a female singer. I probably would use this. Just because I want to get the crispiness of the high end. Now, it's not uncommon for me to use 2 different microphones on a vocal, depending on if they want to hold the mic or not. If they don't want to hold the mic, I'll set both of these up and blend the 2 in a mix. Or I'll use an effect mic. The closest thing I have to a condenser, which is as far as air and breathability on the upper end, is this Royer, but it's very mid-rangey, so I have to be careful with the vocal recordings. Sometimes just putting this off in the distance as a ribbon mic gives enough of the room atmosphere to just bleed it in a little bit on a mix to give it a bit of headroom. And it's warm headroom and not bright headroom that a condenser would give me, so it doesn't point or stick out in the mixing process. So I would take this and probably take this and remove those, but know that that Shure is up for grabs for something else. So I got my drums and my vocals taken care of. Those are my 2 most important things. The rest is either, bass, sometimes I'll DI it, not have to worry about it, and the rest is guitars or maybe a keyboard amp. So, and the rest of what we have here, this ribbon will bring out mid-range in electric guitars. And then I have 6 different type of dynamics that I can put on. Some are a little bit brighter than others, and some are a little bit more duller. So automatically, my go-to would be for a guitar amp up close with the 57, and then off in a distance, have my Royer catching a bit of the room. Put those away, and then I have a bass amp. Now, with bass, it's not necessarily always great to capture all that low end, because if you're DIing and using a microphone, you're going to have a little bit of phasing issue you have to fix in your DAW, because your DI is going to be going to the DAW quicker than your actual microphone. So remember that with bass, when you DI and mic, you always want to go in your DAW and hyper focus into that wave file and move that live mic over to a line up with the DI just right so you don't have phasing problems and lose the low end. But back to the microphone question, it's not necessary to always have that low end because I might be DIing it and that will take care of the low end. So I'll be thinking of a brighter mic to put on a bass amp. So more often than not, I know this mic eliminates a lot of the mids and lows, so I'll put this on it just to capture that high end with my DI. So I'll take that out of the equation, and then I can start thinking about effects mics. So I have these left. This scenario with these two condensers, I tape to my fingers and I'll walk around a room holding my Zoom recorder and get just atmosphere filler, if you will. Could be used, could not be used. It could be used in choruses to puff things out. It just depends on what I capture and how I capture it. But I try to take the approach I've learned in recording live on film as a field recordist, that you're moving around and you're thinking about your subjects, and if it's a guitar solo or somebody's really, really excited at that moment, you get in there with these mics and you really try to capture those really magical moments that can only happen when people are performing together. So I know what those are going to be used for, and then I start thinking about under snares, behind guitar cabinets, behind bass amps, maybe behind the singer, maybe in a weird corner of a room to capture something unique that I can blend in to just give it a bit of a sonic signature that's different than anything else out there. And that's very important to when I produce a record. So I'll use these two for around the drum kit to get something, around the amps, things of that nature. I might not even use it, but they're set up and they're ready to go, and they are recording while I'm doing it. And then I have 4 mics left over, and they're dynamics. The thing I love the most about dynamic microphones is that when you use them as room microphones, so for instance, if this is my singer, and I literally put it away about, about 3 feet away, it sounds like this microphone is 10 feet away. If I put a condenser microphone at this same distance, it wouldn't sound like it's 10 feet away. So dynamic microphones, although they are dynamic and don't give a great sound when they're off in the distance because they're not designed to capture room tone and ambience and overhead kind of stuff, they do give a depth of field that is larger than what a condenser microphone would do in a home recording environment. So that's why I keep more dynamics around than condensers. Plus condensers are very, very sensitive and they break once you're in a mobile Pelican case environment. So I'll usually set these leftover dynamics as my room fillers. So I have minimal bleed in for my mix to give it more of a livelier feel and get the acoustic textures and the sonic signature of the rooms that I'm recording in. Because more often than not, I will be in environments that the bands feel inspired in. It's not catered to the engineering aspect of it, where you want some kind of perfectly treated room and you control the atmosphere. I tend to embrace the environment that I'm in or the room that I'm in and really try to highlight the sonic textures that are good and bad and see how I can use them when I'm working in a mix and creating and developing the sonic signature of that piece. So thanks for joining us. Tell us your thoughts, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Okay, today we're going to talk about microphones and using choice ones for a mobile kit. Throw them in some Pelican cases, and off you go. These particular ones I like to use because they're sturdy, they don't break on me, and they have a lot of character within the microphones.